Let's say that you and your husband own a house together. What does that mean if you are co-owners of a piece of real property? That depends on what your deed says. The deed that you got when you took title to your property and the way that it was written. Typically, there are two types of joint ownership of property. The first is called a joint tenancy with a right of survivorship, and the second one is called a joint tenancy as tenants in common. And those two phrases actually sound pretty similar, but they're pretty different. And where they are different is in what they mean when one property owner, one joint tenant, dies. With a right of survivorship, the entirety of the dead co-tenant's interest goes to the other property owner. So if you and your husband own a piece of property as joint tenants with a right of survivorship, and your husband dies, you own 100% of the whole property. However, if your deed does not say joint tenants with a right of survivorship, then the legal implication is that you own the property as tenants in common. And what that means is that if your husband goes and dies on you and you don't have a joint tenancy with a right of survivorship, then your husband's interest in the real property goes, instead of automatically to you, to his estate, which hopefully you're the beneficiary of. But that's the major difference between a joint tenancy with a right of survivorship and a joint tenancy as tenants in common. Right of survivorship automatically passes the property interest upon one joint tenant's death. The other one, a tenancy in common, passes the property interest to that dead joint owner's estate.